Good morning. It might not be morning when you're watching this, but good whatever time it is. Hi. Hi. It's Bethany. Hi. Derek's not with me today. Just me and Goose. He's over there chilling pretty hard, sleeping. Um, and I am going to talk to you about something that's pretty important to me that I've been thinking about for a long time and that I finally have pulled the trigger on and I'm starting the process of doing. And that is giving my kidney, one of them, probably the left one, to a person who needs it. Not a specific person. I just basically volunteered and said, hey, if somebody needs a kidney and I'm a good match for them, I'll give them mine, which is crazy, I know, but that's what I'm doing. So I wanted to make a video talking about it a little bit and explaining how I came to the point where I decided this is what I wanted to do, and also kind of talking through the process and what it means and what you guys can expect of that. This whole process started, I don't know, it would have been a few weeks ago now, maybe a month ago, when I was listening to a podcast in my car while I was driving, and it was a 4-part series on this podcast that I listened to. The podcast is called Strangers, and the 4-part series is called Elizabeth and Mary. It's about this woman, Elizabeth, who decides to give her kidney, and she finds someone online that's a match with her, a woman named Mary, and then gives her kidney to her. So she picked her recipient. The woman who decided to give her kidney, Elizabeth, her reasoning for doing it it just stuck with me. It made sense to me. The process of donating a kidney is not as invasive and horrible and life-altering as most people think it's going to be. Essentially, you give, you recover. It takes a little bit of time, but then your life pretty much goes back to normal, unless there's crazy complications, which the chances of that happening are pretty small. So, you have a couple weeks of not working and just some recovery time and all that, and it's not a convenient thing, but it's not terrible. It's like any routine surgery. But then the person who receives the kidney, they get to come off of dialysis, and they get years added on to their life of healthier living, where they don't have to be confined to a schedule of dialysis that just straight up is terrible. It's not a good way to live. So the benefit for someone is so great, and I just started to realize that there are just thousands of people on dialysis or who have these problems, who need a kidney, who a lot of them are just dying still needing a kidney, because the amount of people that need one and the amount of people that donate don't match up. And a lot of people who need a kidney, they'll try and find a family member or something to donate to them, but if they can't find someone, they just get stuck on this list, and there's just not enough people dying with healthy kidneys to donate. And I mean, a kidney from a deceased donor lasts, I think, half as long as a kidney from a living donor. So, they're going to need another transplant soon if they get a deceased kidney. It's not a good situation, and there are a lot of people suffering. And, this woman who had decided I'm going to give a kidney to someone who needs it, she was internalizing that suffering, making it her responsibility, and doing something about it, which is something that made sense to me. I always like to think of myself as someone who's, I don't know, empathetic and compassionate, who cares about people who are suffering and wants to do something about it. And here was a way that I could do something about it. But I sort of wrote it off right after I heard that podcast. I thought about it. I thought, wow, that's such an amazing thing. More people should do that. It was one of those moments where you're like, yeah, that would be awesome for someone else to do. But not necessarily me, because I have all these reasons why I obviously couldn't. So I just kept seeing things about it, Sorry, I have something in my eye. I just kept seeing stuff about it, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. for a few weeks, but I was like, whatever, just move on with my day, you know? And then one morning, it was a Sunday morning, and I think I had like taken Goose to the dog park or something like that. And I passed a sign along the road on my way home that said, you know, so and so needs a kidney. If you're interested, call this number. If you think you could be a donor, call this number. Just a road sign for a dude that needed a kidney. And I was like, ugh, why am I seeing kidneys everywhere? You know, like, why can't I get this out of my head? So I went home and I thought, okay, I'm just going to Google it and I'm going to look up all of those reasons why I can't do it. You know, all of those things that make it a no-go for me. I thought, you know, I don't have the money to be able to take time off work. I don't have the time or the energy, or, you know, what were the other things? I was like, I would probably have some sort of strict diet to be on afterward, and, you know, losing an organ would affect, you know, the functioning of the other organ, and I probably could never do all of these things that I enjoy. Like, probably couldn't exercise as well in the future. Not that I exercise that much to begin with, but like, I want to have the option to be able to exercise anyway. I was like, it would probably impair my life, and I wouldn't be able to do things that I love and all this stuff. So I just Googled it and I started reading, and I found myself on the website of the National Kidney Registry. They have a lot of good informational pages about donation, and I was like clicking on the thing like, I'm thinking about being a donor and da-da-da, and, you know, just reading about it. And as long as everything goes well with the surgery, which most do go well, like, there would be no dietary restrictions. There's no restriction on me, you know, drinking alcohol in the future, or eating whatever foods I want, or exercising, or getting back to regular life, essentially. And there's really not that much of a higher chance of my other kidney failing unless I mistreat it, you know? And all of this stuff, like, it's not like it would affect my ability to have kids in the future. There are some slight risks during pregnancy, like there are certain risk factors that are increased from maybe like a 3% chance or a 5% chance in the general population to like a couple percentage points more. But it's not like it's like, if you give a kidney, you're, you know, destined for horror. It's like, there are certain things that the likelihood increases, but most likely you'll be okay. And I am okay taking on those small risks for the benefit that I could cause someone else, if that makes sense. Anyway, my last line of defense, I was scared about it. I was scared to do it, but the more that I researched and the more I Googled, the more I realized that all of my excuses for why I shouldn't do it were kind of evaporating, because they really didn't have much of a grounding in truth. They were just sort of things that I made up in my head that I assumed were true, because why wouldn't more people be doing it if it wasn't a huge risk, right? But anyway, my last line of defense was Derek, because I figured there's no way that I'm just going to sit down with my husband and say, hey, honey, been thinking about giving up one of my organs, and he's going to be like, great, that's awesome, yeah, let's go for it, you know? I assumed that he would be reluctant and unsupportive, and he would say, no, I'm not comfortable with you doing that, and, you know, he's my, like, partner. If he says, no, I'm not comfortable with you doing that, I'm not just going to go ahead and do it anyway. So I texted him because he was at work, and I thought, I'm just going to text him right now and just see what he thinks about it, and then he'll call me, or he'll come home. He was going to be home in a couple hours, and we'll talk about it then, but I'm just going to give him a heads up that I'm thinking about it. So I texted him something along the lines of, hey, I've been thinking a lot lately about donating a kidney. What do you think about that? And I'm serious. I remember putting in the text message, I'm serious, because I figured he's not going to take me seriously. He's going to think I'm joking or something. And he was at work. He was at Crossroads, the church that he directs video for. And I had skipped that weekend because I think I was working, and it just wasn't good timing, and I skipped. Anyway, he called me about an hour later after the last service was over, and he was like, hey, saw your text. So were you at Crossroads just now, or are you here? And I was like, no, I skipped this weekend. And then he was like, oh, well, did you watch it online or something? Because they stream their services online. That's his job, is to direct video for their streaming service. But anyway, I was like, no, I didn't watch I was like at the dog park, I think is where I was. And I was just thinking about it. And he said, oh, that's really weird, because one of the speakers today gave a little speech on why God called her to donate her kidney. So I was like, oh, okay. And because of that, we kept talking, and he basically said, like, I feel like I can't say that, God hasn't nudged me one way or another on this. Because of the timing of it, because of the coincidence, if you want to call it that, of him just having listened to a message on it over and over again for the whole weekend, and then me texting him about it right as that message was happening, he basically said, I don't know, I think it's awesome, and I don't think I can say that God hasn't said anything to me about it recently, when obviously, right as you texted me, there was a message going on about it. So I don't know, I think you should pursue it as much as you think you should. Which was, again, my last line of defense was Derek hating this idea and saying it was a bad idea. And then all of a sudden he's like, no, I think it's a pretty good idea. You should go for it. And I was like, oh crap. Because at that point that meant that I had to do something about it. So I just took the next step, and I filled out a little questionnaire that they had on the National Kidney Registry website about just my basic health and all that stuff. And then they, emailed me the next day, and I filled out another little questionnaire and, got hooked up with a hospital in Indianapolis, St. Vincent Hospital, where I would potentially have the surgery. And I've been working with the people there through like the Living Donor Network ever since that point to start the process. So I've been talking on the phone to a social worker and to I think they're called like the Living Donor Coordinator people there, just working out different details with them. And so yeah, I'm starting the process of donating my kidney to a stranger who needs it. And I think there's a couple things that I want you to know about this whole process. And one is that because I am starting the process of potentially being a non-directed donor, like I am not choosing one specific person to give my kidney to. I'm saying whoever I'm a good match with, you should give it to them. So because I'm doing it, there's an opportunity for something called chain donation, where I would give a kidney to someone, and then a friend or family member of theirs would give a kidney to someone else, who would give a kidney to someone else, and it creates a chain where you can link up potentially infinite amounts of donations based on one person giving altruistically. There's like good graphs about it and good information about it that I will link to, because I'm not very good at explaining it, but there's a chance that because I have decided to give not directed toward one person, but just openly to anyone who needs it, that, multiple people can receive a kidney because of that chain reaction of me giving without the expectation of receiving a kidney back, because I don't need one, which is awesome. And what I really want to drive home is that, one, there should be more awareness about this issue, and two, more people should consider giving their kidneys. More healthy people who don't know someone with a kidney disease or someone on dialysis, who aren't giving to anyone in particular, more people should consider doing this. I really believe that, because I'm in a pretty privileged place to be able to do this. But I think a lot more people are in that place than they think are. And if people were thinking about it more people would consider doing it. It's not that crazy, It's not that big of a deal. It's a big deal. It's a surgery. And it's an organ. Like, it's a part of my body. But I don't know. I think this is something that more people, and especially more Christians, should think about doing. Like, what better way is there to illustrate our faith than to literally sacrifice a part of your body for someone who's sick and who needs it, To literally lay down a part of yourself without the expectation of anything in return, just for the benefit of showing love to another person who's a stranger. Like, that is an illustration of the gospel if I've ever heard one. So, yeah, the points that I want to drive home are more people should consider doing this, and more people should be aware that there's a lot of people out there who really need this done, essentially. And I mean, also disclaimer, there's a chance that I'm just starting the lab testing process of doing blood draws and doing, LOL, a 24-hour urine test, which is hilarious. And I will be vlogging the process of doing that, but I have to wait for a few days. But yeah, I there is a chance that after all this testing, I will not be approved to donate, and it won't ever happen. But I still wanted to make this video just because I think that more people should consider doing this. Should throw their names in the hat of like, hey, if someone needs a kidney and I can provide that, I want to do that. So that's my message to you, viewer of this video. You should consider donating your kidney. If you have 2 of them and you don't have kidney disease in your family and you're not a diabetic and you're a basically healthy person, I think you should consider it because it is a really amazing thing to do. And the more I've gotten used to the idea, the more excited I am about it. And the more I hope that I can donate. I hope I don't get turned down because I want to be able to donate now. I've gotten a little pumped about it. So yeah, I will be vlogging this whole process, starting with the 24-hour urine test that I have to do, which is as crazy as it sounds. I've never heard of it before now, and I'm very excited. Excited's the wrong word. I'm very interested to see how that goes. And then there's like a blood draw, and then if that all goes through just fine, I'm going to be going to get some testing done on different days, stuff like that. And then maybe in 6 months or a year, I'll be donating an organ, and I will definitely be vlogging that process. So yeah, I'm going to link just some different stuff in the description below about like different articles and videos that I've seen online, and maybe a link to the National Kidney Registry where they have a lot of cool info on paired donation versus chain donation and stuff like that. So thanks for watching. I'm glad I could finally get this off my chest. I figured there's no better way to tell everyone that I know that I'm considering this and I'm starting the process than to make a video and post it on Facebook and post it on YouTube and see what happens. So thank you for watching. I think I probably in the next week or 2 will make some sort of Facebook post or like Twitter post and ask for you guys to ask me any questions about the process that you might have, and then maybe I'll do like a Q&A video of the questions that I get. Just like if you're interested, if you have any questions, comment them down below, and I'll try to answer them as much as possible. Just because I think a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about kidney donation, and I think it would be cool to try to clear some of those up, even if I'm not the authority on it. Like I've just started this process, so I don't know how it's going to go, but yeah, if you have any questions, maybe not about the science of it because I'm not a doctor, but like about why I would choose to do this or anything that I said in this video if it was confusing, because I'm just sort of rambling, you know. But yeah, if you have any questions, comment them down below. Have a good day. I will see you in the next video. Bye.